by a car.
He's out, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, like Alabama and stuff like that.
Oh, that's very bizarre. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, Alabama and stuff like that.
Oh, that's very bizarre. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, we should be good now.
Okay, great. We will call the September board meeting of the Monroe County Land Bank Corporation to order. Welcome, everybody. We've got a relatively full agenda here. We will get approval from last meeting's minutes, go over the treasurer's report, talk about our addition of a land bank staff person and kind of where we're at for that. We'll talk about consultant services RFPs. We will talk about some specific properties, our logo. And then at some point we need to schedule the next set of meetings. I know we've got some issues with that.
They're technically scheduled, but we might want to explore options.
Yes, sorry. And it probably makes sense to do that before 4 o'clock when Orlando's
Yeah.
got to leave.
Absolutely.
So as opposed to last on the agenda, we'll move that up at some point.
Okay.
Okay. First off, we need to approve the meeting minutes from our August 13th board meeting. Yes, sorry, that should not be first. That's second, but first we should do roll. Roll call. Kevin Purcell's chair. I'm here. Anna Liss.
Present.
Amy Grande.
Here.
On camera but present. Orlando Ortiz is my present. Deborah Campanella, not here at the moment. Jennifer Cesario
Here.
and Thalia Wright is not going to be joining us today. Okay, now we will move on to the approval of the August 13th meeting minutes. Are there any corrections anyone has from the previous minutes?
I just have a question. I was looking to make sure I wasn't here last month,
Yep.
and I just noticed we don't put whoever's absent, if it was excused or not excused, so I don't know if that's something that we should be adding, because
Yeah, we can correct that. Yours was excused for sure, so. We can make a point of doing that moving forward.
Good. Yes, yeah. Any other corrections or notes on last month's meeting minutes? Okay, if hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes as distributed?
But.
Thank you, Anna. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
And we will make that one correction.
Okay, announcements and communications. Pat, do you have anything that you want
No, I think you've received emails from me of anything that I wanted to announce, which is, I went to look at a house in Syracuse that was modular, did some homework for everyone here. Provided you with that, we can talk about that at the end of the meeting since we have some motions to vote on. And then, related to that, the state has released, and I sent this to you, thanks to Anna sending along a New York Times article, a program that is designed to facilitate more of those. There are a bunch of specifications. I'm not worried about that program as of yet, but it is something that maybe strategically, if we can get some of our work done, we can apply for that program in the future. But let's leave that on the back burner until the next meeting or so.
to? Okay, moving on. Treasurer's report. Amy?
The treasurer's report for the period ended August 31st, 2025. The beginning balance was $9,192. There were no expenditures. The ending balance is $9,192.
Any questions from anybody on that? All right, thank you so much, Amy. Okay, next topic is land bank staffing and the employee lease agreement with between MCIDC and the land bank. And Pat, I think that you have I know there's been some emails about this, but also I think there's some updates that you want to provide.
So thought you received a copy of this in the pack. Yeah, you did. Okay, in the back there. We have had discussions with MCIDC on what this would look like. We've revised from kind of our original. Deb, welcome.
Deb.
No worries. And you didn't miss anything other than the typical formalities. We're just getting into the employee lease agreement conversation. There we go. So this has changed slightly from our original conversation. And the goal with this is to have MCIDC hire someone who could be essentially a part-time employee for the land bank and a part-time employee for MCIDC. They will control the position, the person. We will be entitled to at least 20 hours of their time, but can flex to more than 20 hours of their time. We have discussed what that person would make based on what they want to bring in. That is included under the fees, about the flat rate, and then overtime as well. We don't anticipate any overtime for this position, but in the unique circumstances that could happen, that's spelled out. One thing I just want to make sure is clear, although MCIDC will be managing and overseeing this position, because they work in the same offices, we do have the ability to work with the person to make sure that they are satisfying our needs as well as MCIDC's needs. So we don't, and that is spelled out in this. Our insurance is adequate for what they want. We purposely set this agreement till the end of 2026. Just so that way we have some leeway until that point. That's when we know I shouldn't say no. That is when a second year of LBI funding ends, and then we can reevaluate and see if we need to do something different for 2027. Other highlights, let's see. The rest of it is a lot of legalese that we've reviewed, Josh has reviewed. Josh, I'm gonna ask you to weigh in after I finish this kind of summary. But really the goal and the benefits of this relationship is that it's flexible. We have a minimum of 20 hours, which I can easily fill. And then we have the ability when needed, and I anticipate when we start with ABO reporting at the end of the year, that we need more than 20 hours for sure, if not sooner than that. And so with that, questions, thoughts? Josh, is there anything you want to add?
The only thing which, I read it again today that I want to just check with Brian Green, who represents HR for the county, is the control and the fact that the leased employee will be deemed jointly employed by MCIDC and the land bank. And whether that brings up any concerns that we need workers' comp or other things.
I do recall in our early conversation, so we can check on that, but I do recall from our early conversations that they made it very clear that only one entity should cover workers' comp.
They made it clear, but I just want to make sure that we're not accidentally
Yeah.
stepping in it, because obviously Nixon represents MCIDC and not the land bank or the county. So just want to make sure that that's okay.
Specifically, just to make sure I understand, specifically the wording in that one sentence is what you're referring to,
Yes.
nothing else, but just.
I mean, the rest of it
Yep.
is pretty,
Right.
it's
It's the
pretty
fact that
simple,
it's
as long as we're okay
taken.
with the number. We went back and forth a little bit. I mean, I guess the flat rate. I have a question on, Pat, which is, if the salary changes, there's no if we have to pay more to hire somebody or less to hire somebody, that doesn't change. So is there any thought to scaling that based on the salary of the employee, or is that just what we've decided it's gonna be?
So the rate was decided based on the salary that MCIDC would like to pay for an employee of this nature. So then we identified what that salaried rate would be hourly.
Right, so there's gonna be, they're gonna hire someone at that rate, and if they hire somebody different, we'll just amend this to reflect the new rate if they want to hire, if it's gonna cost them more, or they can get somebody for less, we'll do an amendment or something theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah.
Okay.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna put a finer point on MCIDC administers a microloan program for small businesses in Monroe County that was funded through ARPA. And there is a need for bookkeeping and administrative responsibilities associated with that program that are charged back to the ARPA grant, similar to the land bank being funded through ARPA. So the 50% share of the lease agreement by way of MCIDC, 50% of the responsibilities of this employee would be focused on that ARPA funded microloan program, and also ARPA, the land bank work would be tied to ARPA as well. So just to clarify the responsibilities. Yeah.
Complementary, really, yeah.
Yeah. And just, it's in here, it's pretty simple, Pat might have mentioned it. We can go over the 20 hour, like,
Yes,
and
yep.
if we go under, if we need fewer than 20 hours, we're still paying for 20 hours unless MCIDC needs them to do additional work, in which case they credit us. So if MCIDC, if we say, hey, we only need 15, MCIDC could increase it to 25, and then we'd get a credit for those hours. But we are kind of on the hook for 20 hours a week.
I think we can bill it.
And that's week by week,
Yes,
not monthly, not.
correct.
I was gonna ask in regards to the rate, is that what that person is making an hour? Or is that something that we're paying MCIDC, which includes some
It does include
administration
fringe, yeah,
stuff?
yep. So
Okay.
there is no person in that position yet. MCIDC has identified a rate that they want to pay this person. And then the fee includes all the overhead, retirement, all that other stuff that would
Okay.
go along with that.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what is this person doing for almost $100,000 a year, right? That between a full-time, for a full-time position.
It includes the fringe.
Yeah.
So that's a very good question.
Sadly, they will not be making us.
I was just gonna ask, what are they doing for
Yeah, right around
that?
there,
Includes the, employer side of their taxes, all of
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Any further information that you want to share about that position at this point?
No, as soon as we can get this approved and start to move forward, we can, MCIDC is prepared to move forward with the hiring process. So I would encourage you, even with Josh's statement about checking the one issue, to consider approving this today so we can get someone on board, in October if possible.
So this position was already, the headcount was already accounted for, some budget somewhere.
Yes, the MCIDC has already approved an FTE related to the microloan program. And there's a vacancy, so there exists some capacity there in that organization for now what will become 50% of an FTE for the microloan, and then the other 50% of the work would be focused on land bank.
I know that there is, and we've talked about this before, that there is an absolute need now, and even going back before now, for this person that we're gonna hire. So I do think there is some real impetus to get this done. I'm wondering how the board members feel about potentially approving that today to move forward. Does anybody have any issues that they feel uncomfortable doing that?
And I would suggest approving it today with a caveat that's subject to approval of the control section or requested change in the event that HR has an issue with it.
So. See if we can incorporate all of that. So today would be a motion to approve the employee lease agreement with the caveat of, that the first sentence under section 1.8 may need to be altered in the future, depending on what Josh is able to find out. So we'd be looking for an approval, with the understanding that it may need to be amended for that one sentence in, the first sentence in section 1.8. So I guess I will make that motion. Is anybody willing to second?
Second.
Thank you, Amy. All in favor?
All right.
I'm
I'm gonna
so
recuse
sick,
myself,
sorry, yep,
I
understood.
recuse myself because of the Monroe County Industrial Development
Of course,
Corporation.
that makes perfect sense. Remaining board members, all in approval? Aye. Okay, so that's 4-0 with one recusal. That motion passes.
Just for clarification, so that person would be for through MCIDC and then with a dotted line to the land bank kind of thing.
Yes,
Yes.
technically, the Director of Operations for MCIDC, Allison Clark, who reports up to myself, would technically oversee the person, but, through our arrangement, working with Allison, Pat, we're gonna have Pat manage 50% of the person's time.
And it's based on the scope of services that we've already, we should have attached to this. If we didn't, I apologize.
It's in here.
It is. So Allison will also be responsible for ensuring that these scope of services are satisfied. So that way we're happy, because that's what we're we're purchasing time of an employee, not necessarily that employee's, or hiring that full position.
Okay, next topic is consultant services, the RFPs for consultant services in your packet. These have been circulated previously, but in the packet are the the proposed RFPs for accounting and bookkeeping services, for audit services, and for general counsel for the land bank. Pat, do you have updates on this or?
No updates. I want to thank you, thank all of you who submitted modification requests and changes. We made those pretty much whole cloth. I just want to stress or explain, which I've already done, but I just want to do it before we get any further, why we're going for RFPs for all three of these. So accounting, audit, and legal. We need accounting services. We have to have accounting services to help us keep the books. It's cheaper ideally to do that than to hire someone through the employee position and another person. Skill sets will be different. We will see what that costs based on other entities, but we anticipate that it will be within our budget. Same related to the audit. As a nonprofit in New York State, we are required to undergo a independent audit every year. And so we will have to do so at the end of this year because this is our first real year in business or in work. And so that will be someone that we will hire to do that and go through the process. The audit committee ideally will work closely with them to make sure that what they're doing and what they need, and then any sort of modifications that they suggest in the audit report can be implemented as we move forward. And then legal. Josh is our legal counsel, but he also, like me, is a county employee and has other things going on. And then on top of that, he may have actual conflicts of interest that might come into play. And so we need additional legal services that will allow us to remove those conflicts of interest, and then to provide greater service as well. So that way Josh can step back a little bit and just provide us kind of guidance from a higher level. Josh, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I think that sums it up, and, a lot of it, my time depends on if and when we're able to fill vacancies in the law department.
Right.
So we're a little short-staffed at the moment, so.
Okay, perfect. And then my goal, if these are approved, is to get these out the door and publicized almost immediately. So that way we can, as we're bringing on a new employee, they can participate in the consultant selection services. They can help us work through that process, accept those, and then we can know, with all three going out, we can know exactly what our budget for the remainder of 2026 2025 and 2026 may be. That way we don't have any surprises, but these are the last of our anticipated needs that we need to satisfy for being a nonprofit in New York State.
Questions from board members regarding this? I have a question I see on the accounting and bookkeeping RFP. The scope of services, the timing, we have November 1st through October 1st of this year through October 31st of next year. Obviously a 12-month period, but then a note there, we may want to extend this, so we aren't looking for a new account just before year end.
Yeah, so that's just your point, Kevin. That is an internal note to the board.
Yep.
So these are finalized in terms of, I want to be able to publish these, but I did provide you notes.
Yeah.
With the date, actually it's spelled wrong as well.
Yeah, well. Too.
But we can consider whether, because of the nature of accounting services that are necessary before the year end, whether it's a good idea to have those terminate just before we get into the point where we have to report for the Paris cycle or the audit cycle. So we could extend those out to December 31st or beyond that. That is something I wanted to bring to the board.
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin.
No, yeah. I would think December 31st, but this is not my world at all, so maybe there's because that's the end of the year, and then I don't know, does it?
Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, with people who have more experience.
Generally speaking, we contract, the
Multi-year.
contract period is different, but yes,
I mean, we could go till the end of 2027. We know we have funding till then.
that would make more sense to me. to
Yeah.
get-
Yep, and it saves everyone work. We don't have to go through this process again.
And you might be able to get a better rate like 3 year than a 1 year too.
We could do 2027 with an option for a 2028 year because the LBI funding ends in 2027. In theory, we're gonna apply again and have that, but there's no guarantee, so maybe that would be the way to do it. Josh, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can we make it subject to funding?
Yeah,
I wouldn't scare off in the RFP saying it's subject to funding. What I would do is say that just an option to extend, and then you would make it subject to funding internally as the board, like whether you actually exercise your option.
Right.
I think. Just because once you start saying subject to funding, you know, the respondents start to get nervous, even though they have 3 years guaranteed.
Right. And will we have billing guidelines or what they're allowed to charge us for? I saw what's included in here, but I see lots of extraneous charges got through, like legal bills and will we have guidelines on what they're allowed to bill or because they're our general counsel, they can?
Well, I mean, they'll have to give us essentially an engagement, I mean, first the RFP will have to contain their billing rates and all of that, and then we'll have to negotiate kind of what's included in the scope, what they can bill for,
Perfect.
you know, I mean, this, you know, is those of you who've hired outside counsel know it sometimes becomes an argument about what's covered, what's billable, what's not. So
Right.
we'll do our best in the RFP to spell out what we're looking for.
and one thing other land banks do, they have hiring committees. I think we're small enough that this whole board should be the hiring committee. So ideally, we will receive all the RFPs for these various consulting services. At one of these meetings, bring them back to the entire board. That would, of course, be able to be an executive session, so we can have those conversations candidly. But we would then be able to discuss all those points.
Okay.
And negotiate or identify the consultant that makes the most sense. And then at that point, you can negotiate what are the final terms.
Perfect.
I know we talked about, and I think we've agreed to extending the scope of service timeline for accounting and bookkeeping. Would it make sense to do that for either audit or general counsel, or keep those to a 12-month period?
I would extend them out, so you're not,
Yeah, let's
Yep.
take them all together.
Okay, yep, extend those all out to 12/31/2027. Discussion, comments from people about comfort level, about concerns, specific wording questions if you have them.
I just noticed indemnification is misspelled on page 2 in the general counsel.
Thank you. Anna.
And pardon if anybody else has already pointed that out. That's it. That's in the-
November is spelled wrong also.
Yeah, yep.
I think you already caught that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You would think Word would catch these things.
You just want to see if we're paying attention.
Right.
Or the 15 times that Lisa and I have reviewed them.
Sometimes though,
Yep.
yeah.
And I just want to reiterate that we will bring you all the proposals that we received to this body. So that way, you get to see and review all of them. We then will have discussions about who we think makes the most sense. And then we can have like I said, we can vote on who we would like to hire, then contact them and make sure that we are happy with the services they're proposing. So this RFP is the guidelines, but it's not necessarily how things are gonna shake out at this very moment.
This may be a silly question, but how does once we have the RFPs and they are published, where exactly are they going? How are we making sure that they're getting to the people that may want to reply to this?
So we will probably, so we're not technically a part of the county, but we can follow the county's purchasing and bid kind of strategy, which is you identify organizations that you want to send this to. You create a list of them, you send it to them. We can put it up on our website as well for them to download as well. Jennifer, I know there's a couple other things we can do, but what else do you think we should be able to do? Just because I know that's kind of in your wheelhouse.
But other than what you've already thought out,
mean, that's traditionally how we do it
Yeah, I mean,
for in-county work.
Yeah.
I know places I would send
Yep.
accounting and bookkeeping things to, and I can give you those.
Yep,
but-
and that's, I think we will need those from you for accounting, and we will need those related to general counsel that we can probably rely on the two lawyers in the room.
Yeah, that was gonna be my follow-up question, right? Was I think around the table, we have the knowledge of who we probably want these to go to, just to make sure that that gets to the right people so that we
And
are
I-
getting these.
You know, and
circulated
I
to
guess
folks.
the question on the law firm, the big firms can handle both.
Mhm.
Like everything that you would, you would need to, the kind of, 50 or more attorney firms, both the public body aspect and the real estate transaction aspect. The question to ask is, should we send it out to firms that, firms that could only do the real estate side?
Do you feel that you can handle the public body side? Or, I mean, I know that's a tough question.
And timing, who knows, and there's some, but there's more conflicts with the real estate side. Obviously, so the real estate's the more important if you're getting one out of the two, because I can't represent the county as it's giving a property,
Yep,
or,
yep.
So the question is, if you limit it to somebody who could do everything, are you limiting it to 4 law firms? Or 5 law firms that,
That may or may not be.
Yeah.
or that, bill on a Comida sized budget, not on a
Yeah.
land bank sized budget.
Very good point.
I think there's no harm in sending this to more people than we
Yeah.
believe could potentially satisfy our needs. I also know that there's land banks throughout the state that have general counsel. So, we know of at least some of those entities who are working for them. We plan to send it to them. Also related to the accounting and audit, we work in a world with lots of other nonprofits and quasi-governmental agencies. So I've asked those people I work with to tell me who their services are provided by, so that way I can send it to them as well. So I hope to cast a wide net.
Great.
So would the board be willing then to hire a non-Monroe County
Firm.
firm? I mean, now you get experience because you might get a law firm that's that's represented land banks. But is that anything in the mission or something that we would have strong feelings about either way? I would be okay hiring, like an Onondaga or Erie County or somewhere else
Yeah, yeah.
that's done land bank work.
I don't
For
think
that
we need to
reason,
answer that question right now. I think we should wait and see what comes back. We can send it to them.
Yeah.
To your point, and see if their services are worth entertaining.
Yeah, we should give ourselves that flexibility,
the
and I
greatest
think
scope,
for that
yeah.
reason, because there may be firms that have the expertise and experience working with land banks, that could actually bode well for us working.
Yeah.
with
Yep.
I agree.
I mean, the way we're
I
using
agree.
Brown and Brown Syracuse office for insurance, not their local, because they're the land bank one.
Mhm.
Are any, towards your point about the limited amount of big firms here in town, are any of them, do you know, already conflicted out because of other work they do with the county, or, that you're aware of, that would immediately not be options?
No, I mean, the Nixon couldn't do the work on, anything with the lease agreement, because they've done that, but otherwise,
Yeah, okay.
I don't think any, and maybe, I would say that, Bond Schoenig would probably be conflicted out for the same reason we are, because they handle our in-rem foreclosure auction.
Gotcha. Yep.
And Nixon, is counsel to MCIDC, and as you may know, recently moved from the downtown Rochester to Victor, to Ontario County. So this came up with MCIDC, just that, how do we feel about,
Not Monroe County based.
right, but the feeling was that the way that our policies are written, it gave us the flexibility, and the feeling was that council is serving us well, and we're not going to pivot just based on geography.
This is a special use case. I think I'd much better to cast a wider net.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept and release the RFPs for accounting, audit, and legal as a whole? you feel comfortable doing that, going to a vote on that? Do I have a motion, to do so? Orlando, thank you.
I'll second.
Deborah, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 6-0.
So one
Fine,
just,
fine.
oh, sorry.
Yes, 6-0.
One caveat, I will make the board aware before these actually go public, so that way you're aware. And then, of course, when we're in the period of procurement, please don't discuss this with any entity that approaches you as a board member asking questions. That can be handled through the land bank email, and so we will have that come, so that way everyone who responds gets the same answer.
Great. And just to make it clear, sorry, the motion and the approvals were all based off of these change, with the one change of the dates. Extending the ending term on each of these out to 12/31/2027.
Minor typos.
Put that on, yes, and minor typos. Okay. Properties is our next topic, but actually, with the time, I'm wondering if it might make sense now to talk about next board meetings, because
Yeah,
once we get into
sure.
properties, I think that might take a bit of time. And Orlando, I know we're going to be cognizant of your timing. Our next scheduled meetings, and I know there's been some emails that have gone out. But we have, I think, multiple conflicts and a potential issue with quorum. Our next meeting is currently scheduled for Wednesday, October 8th. I believe we're looking at the 15th, and I don't know if you've heard back from everybody, from enough people, if that's,
Body,
Sorry.
no, that's,
Yeah.
it was all happened the last day or
I
two.
figured
so
we
it
would
was
be here
very
today.
much last minute, so don't mean to put you on the spot.
I will be able to make that work.
Yep, either date works for me.
Lisa, did we have an alternative date for November other than the 19th that we discussed?
No, the day before and day after, I think we're busy in here.
No, we could
Yeah.
simply use the other room. So,
So October, is that gonna be 4 or 3?
we would potentially move it to, so it's currently scheduled for October 8th. We would be looking at October 15th at 3:30 unless there's a need to meet earlier, but I don't think so if no one has any other conflicts.
Okay, so we will move the October meeting from the 8th to the 15th, keeping it at the 3:30 time.
Yeah, and I apologize for all this moving. We're just trying to make sure that we have quorum.
And then do you want to talk about November as well? while we're
Yeah, so we
doing this?
originally proposed November 19th, but we don't have a great response rate on that one. So we might want to consider a different date in November. I'm just bringing up my calendar so I can see if there's an alternative.
I mean, did you have everybody the original date? You know.
What was the original date? No,
I know, I
I think
can't-
about it.
It was the 12th,
Well-
and then it got moved to the 13th, and then now we're trying the 19th.
And I can't, was there a county meeting? I'm trying to remember why we moved it from the 12th to the 13th originally.
Good question.
I thought there might be a bit.
Pledge.
County, okay, I thought there was something.
Day.
Yeah.
Twentieth is, planning board meeting.
Anna, could you meet November 19th at that 3:30 timeframe? Because if we do that, we will have
Yes.
quorum so long as everyone else is able to show.
Yeah.
I
the-
can, yeah.
November is horrendous for me, so if I don't show up, we suddenly don't have quorum.
Potentially.
No,
But
right.
you're
When-
already in the
Oh,
excuse
yeah.
list.
I'm in the excuse list already.
Yeah, at least for
So
that
we
time.
wouldn't need you for,
You made it clear that November.
Yeah, no, but, I mean,
Yeah.
I will do my very best,
Yeah.
please know
Still want you to
that,
come.
but.
And I think Deb, we also,
Okay.
that, would that work?
Yeah, any of these days work.
Okay.
That would be okay.
At 3:30?
Yeah.
I had the RMSC board meeting, but I don't know that they would have a quorum issue, so that's okay as long as it's not a standing. I'll be able to excuse myself from the
I see, yeah,
RMSC
yeah.
board meeting in order to participate in this one, on that day.
Is it time issue or?
That one starts at 3:45.
And was it
So-
18th though?
The 18th was,
I can do the 18th.
It was a room, right?
I think it was a room, but I.
but we could
Yeah,
probably use
right.
the other one.
I didn't check that room.
I mean, we have other options for rooms if that's the only issue.
I'm not picking the eighteenth, I'm just saying whatever works.
Yeah. Would that work, that would work for you then? I
Yes,
assume?
yeah.
And I apologize, I know.
That would work for me,
Bit
yes.
frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which day?
At least that way
I
you
think
wouldn't have
Jennifer,
to
nodding your head.
right,
I've
right.
seen a lot of,
Then we have to see everybody.
Thank you.
so
That's Dahlia, we have to see.
understood, understood. Good. You checking the room?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that looks good. I believe committee meetings for November are on the eighteenth. They don't start till 5, so we could make that work for at least county employees. Not ideal, but it'll work. And then as far as, this room, nothing at that time frame. So, we could do the 18th at, 3:30 or 3, depending on what works for this entity.
With the caveat, you must be done by 5.
I think we can get there.
It does not matter to me, 3:30 or 3, whatever. I'll look for the county folks, since you guys will have that
I
right
mean,
after.
3 would provide breathing room, so it probably makes sense, but I understand that some of you are coming from work and that's a little harder.
Yep,
Okay. Can we do November 18th at 3 PM here? Okay, we will send out reminders and updates for everyone, so that way you don't have to worry about it now.
Yep. Thank you for everyone's flexibility, working on that.
And so just to reiterate, October 15th at 3:30, November 18th at 3 PM, but we'll send emails.
Okay, now we'll turn back to the really fun stuff, which is properties. And we had the in-rem auction. I
Are we
did
going-
not, I'll tell you that story later.
Are we
Sorry.
going to talk about the properties and?
So we had a conversation about that. The properties cannot, at this point, be acquired by another individual because of the foreclosure process. So there is no, reason, at least from our understanding, to go into executive session because it won't change the purchase price.
Okay, just checking.
But we're not making any commitments. We're exploring options at this point, at least as far as I know.
Okay,
So we had a long day at the county auction. I'm not quite sure how long it went, but I know it was gonna be a very full day.
It was a very full day. We had great turnout. A lot of things sold, but a lot of the typical properties that we've been seeing have remained. I sent it out to everybody yesterday. I apologize. I meant to do that earlier, but I did get that out to you. So if anything in particular stood out, happy to double check that it's been through 2 foreclosure auctions, or at least 2 auctions, so that we don't have to worry about that burden of proof on market value. Swansea is still there. 5 Beechwood is not, but that doesn't mean they will close. It, often happens if there's something that is not in the shape that is expected, the person that is buying it will walk in and say, oh, just kidding, and not complete the transaction. So just because it's not there today, that doesn't mean that it won't be an opportunity in a few months while they make their final decision.
So how does that come back to the list or us?
I asked 3 months from now, did they ever close? And if the answer, if they're trying to close and they're working towards closing, you don't interrupt that. But if they have
course.
made a determination they're not going to close, then it becomes available for transfer.
And then at that point, the county could start a process to donate it to the land bank, which would have to go through the legislature, which is a 3-month process. So it would delay that whole property acquisition for that one.
I can't believe English Road didn't sell.
Which one?
English Road. Thought English.
Oh, no, that is in the county's name.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So 2 of the 3 properties that we've talked about
Are still available.
are still definitely available. One looks like it may have been purchased by a third party. We'll see if that gets to closing. I'm assuming it's like a regular foreclosure sale. They had to put down 10% deposit and they lose that if they walk away.
Correct.
And is there a deadline as to when they when the county would kind of say, are you, either you have to move forward or tell us you're actively not? Understood that there's not a simple answer to that.
The contract requires it, but because we wanna get these off our books, we
Sure.
extend those
Sure.
dates
Yep.
often,
Yeah.
to make sure we're closing, and a lot of the backlog is frankly on our end, because you're trying to do a million closings and getting them all done in a timely fashion, be difficult.
So for the two properties, well, sorry. Well, there's also some other properties I know have been potentially identified, at least for maybe some more research.
Yeah,
I'll let you speak to
so
that.
Amy sent over the list. With Beechwood gone and the other two properties still available, Grace and I went through the rest of the properties to just quickly make some quick high-level identifications if any of the others potentially could suit our needs or be a possibility. Especially in light of the modular house that I sent out to you previously and how, what were the dimensions that they needed for that? And then what were some of the thresholds that they needed, which was essentially, is there water and sewer easily accessible? And so we came up with about 10 other properties that have varying issues with them that may or may not be worth exploring. But there's a smattering around the county, and we can send out we just finished this before this meeting, so I apologize that we haven't sent anything out. But there's one in Chilai that has potential, or there's two in Chilai. There's one in Gates, and some of these have no properties on or no structures on them. Some of them have structures on them. Some of those structures may be possible, they have a possibility to be renovated, others are likely demo candidates. So there is a lot to figure out before we move forward with any of these. But I want to bring it to your attention that I don't think it's just two that we should explore. I think we should at least explore some other options, figure out if there's any ability to do that. There's one in Clarkson. There's the Swansea property that we spoke about previously. There's one, not really a high potential in Penfield. Also not a very high potential property in East Rochester. And then there is, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's.
There's
about
two
it.
others that are very low potential, but in theory could fit our needs. So what I propose is that we do a little bit more due diligence and bring it back to you, and we can send you the list so you can take a look at it. I'll send you my notes that I have. But we need to figure out what are the zoning classifications for those sites. Could we fit one of the structures that we visited there? And then if it crosses that threshold, I think we should then move to the next level. Is it worth pursuing? What are the obstacles in the way? Like I said, there's demo, there's likely tree work on multiple sites. Almost all of them are going to need new laterals for utilities, driveways, and things like that. But I think there's potential, and that's what I wanted to figure out at today's meeting. If the board is willing to pursue those potential properties.
We should definitely look at them.
Okay.
I mean, based on the fact we've only had one or two to pick from, I mean, not having a list is kind of refreshing to be like, oh wow, this is more than.
That option.
Right.
And I apologize that we couldn't put more together for you today, because of the timing of the auction and my vacation, we just couldn't do that.
But no, and it's not on him, it's on me. We had to get through the list, we had to scrub, to make sure what closed, what, had an offer on it. So while it seems like it's a simple concept, it takes a few iterations to make sure you're presenting solid information. So,
Yes,
I'm
no,
sorry.
I think I don't think there's any blame. I think it's the exact opposite. I think this is, you guys are going above and beyond to try to find some more properties for us to look at. So it was incredibly appreciated. And I think, Pat, you mentioned this to me earlier, not letting perfect get in the way of good, right? And these properties may not be exactly what we're looking for, but considering we have only had two identified before, it certainly seems to make sense to add some more. For the two that we've already identified previously that didn't sell this in the most recent auction, does it make sense for us to take any action on those two at this point
What's the
to move
time?
things forward?
9 months from the auction, I believe that we have.
Well, but
But
we have
the
a
county
7-year
has to take-
deadline, yeah.
But the county has to take it and then the county would have to vote to give it to the land bank.
Plus
But-
we have to expend the money, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but my question is, in terms of, your process from this point forward, for the properties that are being, potentially purchased, you're just waiting on closing and all that stuff before you can do anything. You submit an annual referral to the legislature in what cycle?
No, this is a new process for us.
Oh, okay.
This would be a completely new process for us. Typically, when I do what you're speaking of, it's for a surplus auction that the county is
Okay.
holding.
Okay.
I would imagine that this would be similar with the buyer being the Monroe County Land Bank. So it would be a very similar process, but it would be a list of properties that the county has already taken into ownership. They allow us to take them after review without going to ledge.
Mhm.
We take them into ownership and then we would go to ledge to transfer that asset into the land bank.
But we would not want to necessarily have the county take it into ownership until the land bank knows that
That's
Yeah,
correct.
we want.
that it wants it, because otherwise the county is stuck. If the land bank decides it doesn't want it, the county would be stuck holding a property, insuring it, et cetera, that it has no interest in.
With that in mind, and Josh, please, and Amy, please correct me if I'm wrong. If we wanted to press go on any of these properties today, best case scenario in terms of process on the county's end and the land bank's end. My understanding is, at a minimum, the county would need to submit a referral, to go through the typical process. Is there something that needs to happen before that that would delay that process?
Yes, we need to get it into ownership. So we would have to get
So you-
Boylan Code to create the deed that takes it out of this in rem and into the county's name.
Is that a separate referral that needs to happen first? or
There's
can
no
they-
referral affiliated with that. That is simply
Yeah.
legal paperwork.
Okay.
I mean, that is the type of thing that could be done in an expedited fashion, if
Right.
needed. Like that should not delay,
No, that.
like, it's not gonna be a month delay,
Yeah,
but you'd wanna have enough leeway. If we decided to take a property, that we can take the property before the referral would go in for the cycle, so you're not waiting till the next referral cycle. So you wouldn't wanna do it like the day before referrals are due. Like say, hey, we want this property, and then, we're trying to get the property in a day so we can get the referral. I mean, we could probably do the referral before we have the property, start the process.
Well, that's what I
but-
was thinking. If we start drafting the referral, can we process it as an MO?
Well, so I'm typical, so for non-county employees, there is essentially a 3-month process for a referral to go from a department to the legislature. And so that means if we submit something in October, which has to happen by the first Friday in October, that would then not be before the legislature until December. So that would be the soonest that we could legally have title to that property. Which means we can't do anything on that property until that point. If we need to do any demolition, we're not doing it in the middle of the winter. Most construction isn't happening for residential property in the middle of winter. So my thought is, I don't know that there is or there is a need to fast forward to ownership on the land bank's end through this process, because best case scenario, December. But I do think we need to be cognizant of what we're acquiring and have the process done before spring of 2026. And ideally, in a perfect world, we identify those properties, we start the process before the end of this year. Go ahead.
I would like to interject and offer that maybe as part of the RFP process, we have them do, what would it cost to demo this house? What would it cost to demo that house? What would it cost to improve this? Because sometimes the setbacks would change how much it costs to relay those laterals that you were speaking of. Maybe we start that process. However, as a land bank, how do we feel about incurring expenses before we even own something? What do you think?
So what I was getting to is that I think that we should identify the properties we want
Yeah,
and start the process of the potential RFPs for those properties. It doesn't mean that we release all of them or we hire anyone, but we can advertise, we can get RFPs for the site work back, we can get all of that type, so we have known costs potentially. And then as soon as the weather and we have legal title, we can press go and start the process. And if we want to work, depending on what we're looking to construct, it is possible to do within 2026. It's a tight time frame, but we have until December 31 of 2026 to expend the ARPA dollars. And we have all year to expend our LBI dollars.
I think that's great.
How quickly can we find out how many, which of these residential, the vacant parcels have adequate utility hookups, sewer access, et cetera, such that we could potentially explore that modular route?
These 10 that Grace and I brought, and like I said, we can send these to everyone. The RPS records indicate that they do have water and sewer. And I
Okay,
think-
great.
Thanks for Linda.
So we weeded out anyone that did not have that.
Okay, so hypothetically, they're shovel-ready residential parcels.
They may have structures on them that may or may not be acceptable.
Got it, okay, sorry, you probably already addressed that in some of your remarks. I was just curious because of this modular
yep.
concept and, that would also entail, if we were to go the modular route, that would require some conversations with the municipalities, the taxing jurisdictions, planning and zoning. They have various
Yep.
different local codes and
Mhm.
rules around modular, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we would need to work with each community we're interested in to make sure that we're fitting the zoning parameters. Just because it's modular, they can't deny it, but we need to meet all the other zoning parameters, area setbacks, lot dimensions, all that type of stuff.
Is this the same process other land banks go through as far as the timing and the way that they do it?
I mean, everything's slightly different in terms of the process. I mean, our county legislature referral process is different than other counties. It tends to be longer than some counties. So that is different. But in terms of properties being donated from the county to the land bank, it's the same process. And then in terms of the, construction and all that other stuff, that is, it differs based on the community you're working in, the experience of the people involved in the process.
Okay.
We definitely, will ideally get faster as we go along. We will learn things.
Okay. And do the other land banks identify the property and do the RFPs?
So we can do a couple different processes. Some land banks will take a property in and develop it themselves, either with in-house staff or by doing an RFP for a developer. Other land banks will acquire a property, try to sell that property to someone who's interested in developing it. Usually they only do that when there is a house that is something that can be renovated. They're not asking someone to build a new house on one site because that becomes very costly. But if you have a structure that is otherwise good and just needs to be renovated in some fashion, even if it's a full gut job, they may see if someone's interested in doing that. And we could explore that if we have any properties that have structures on them that we would think that we think are viable to be renovated. We could put an RFP out on the street that says, are you interested in taking this on? Here's what we expect you to do, and solicit responses.
Okay, thank
So
you.
that's an option and something we can consider, and we have time to do so. And that, in a perfect world, could happen over the winter.
Okay. Depending on winter, I mean, certainly we could get things done in the winter. Things happen all year.
Some things, yeah. I mean, I think we should move as quickly as we can, but I don't think we should move in haste just because of, winter timeframes or things like that.
No, I'm just worried about that 3-month lag time
Yep.
and our deadline.
Yep, I get it. I had more hair when we started this process.
Okay, so no formal action on any of the properties for today.
You tell me,
No, I mean, I think that makes sense in terms of, kind of as you described it, and I don't think it makes sense to have the county have unnecessary carrying costs, holding it, especially if they're not certain that we are gonna.
The carrying costs it's more of the being stuck with it longer term if we don't want it.
And the risk.
Yeah.
Right.
We're already having
the English Road property, right?
Yeah, it's part of the county already. So it would just be the process of moving into the land bank.
Yes.
And just a reminder, when we acquire properties, we will have to put insurance on them.
Yeah.
So that is something that we have built into our budget, but not for a large volume of properties. Okay, so I think that makes sense. We will do some more due diligence on these other potential properties. And ideally, we can come to you, back to you with some more information. And then at that point, I hope we can maybe make some progress on actually which properties we're interested in acquiring.
Is this mine or yours?
You can take that. We have a scanned copy as well.
Okay,
And we can send it out to the board as well, just so you can kind of get a sense of what it is.
okay, thank you, Pat. And everyone. Next topic is a fun one, our logo development. Yes,
Add another
last
topic.
last couple pages of your packet. Grace, do you wanna?
Yeah, on the last page of the packet, there is a few logo concepts that the communications department developed for based off of the comments, that you guys provided in that survey. Our group has taken a look at it, and I think we have some initial comments as well, but wanted to get your guys' feedback. That way we can go back to the communications department and if there's any potential edits or changes.
And one other thing I will mention is that this is to get us started. If we think in the future that this logo is not what we want for a variety of reasons, we can go through a process to change it as well. I offer that only because the communications department is doing this pro bono for us, so there's room to make changes, but there's not room to create entirely new logos.
We should decide on one in people.
I mean, we can make some minor tweaks. I know that the coloring of these, when you print them, doesn't necessarily come across as that it does on the screen. So we might suggest they modify some of the colors. This, particularly the concept B bottom one that is both green and blue, it looks better on screen than it does on paper. So I would, potentially like to change that.
I like writing out Monroe County instead of just the letters, because there are no vowels, so it doesn't roll off the tongue,
Right.
Bermuda, or like,
Yeah.
no vowels makes it like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably all have preferences. Is there anyone, anyone else willing to say what they like better?
Sure.
I'm very plain Jane. I like this one, Monroe County Land Bank Corporation with the two colors, with the gray and blue.
Okay.
I think probably for the same reason you were stating, there's no vowels, so I can't really make an acronym out of it per se.
But the green and blue is slightly less favorable just because of the colors?
I can't explain it. That's just the one that's better.
Oh, that's perfect. I mean, I asked because, we do have ability to easily change.
Do you
the
have them
color.
on the screen, like, so we can see what they look like
Yeah.
actually, like, on a screen, because that's where you.
No, maybe I'm just doing like two color
I know
press
they
versus
like the
three color press.
Words written out, but I like the shorter ones.
You like the
Yeah.
shorter ones better?
We could have an acronym version and
Yeah.
the spelled out.
I just like.
You like that one
It's
better?
just-
The top of the
This
bottom.
just seems like a lot.
It's a lot of
Do you
reading.
like top or bottom of that concept A?
I like the bottom one personally.
I like the bottom one better of those two.
I like
Do you
having the county green incorporated somehow,
Yeah.
because it's part of the county,
I like concept A, the bottom as well. I want to keep away from thinking this is Monroe County.
Oh,
That actually makes
I
sense.
like
Good point.
that. That is a really good point.
Yeah,
Hadn't thought about that.
Me either.
Yeah,
that was a good point, yeah.
It still says it underneath, it's just.
Yeah, but then it's like a little bit different,
I
yeah.
like the two-tone,
Yeah.
sharp.
Hmm.
Even on the paper, it's sharp.
That's good, because I was.
No, because you're right, because this one, it kind of looks like a division of Monroe County,
Yes.
like,
And if you'll notice from my comments since I've been here, I prefer to go that way.
yeah.
not being a graphic design type person, I'm sort of between this and this. I like the green and the blue. And I'm 6 of one, half dozen of the other on acronym versus spelling it out. You know, in my mind's eye, I'm thinking, you know, the average person on the street doesn't necessarily care about the land bank's logo, so it's like, you know, they'll go on our letterhead, so
Right.
it's important, it's more important to the board, I think, than the voting public, but.
This is not Pepsi's new logo or something.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
But I do think,
Depends how successful
I
we
think
are.
you're absolutely right, but it will be our branding as we move
Mhm.
forward, and if we're
Right.
successful with houses, ideally, you know, we may have a sign or a flyer that advertises that. So,
Build brand equity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it'll probably, yeah, it'll be a signpost perhaps
Yeah.
in the yard. You know, beautiful new home on a formerly vacant parcel and the land bank is to thank for it, you know.
That's an eye opener. So-
it's more discussion than I
It's pretty
anticipated.
tough, but it's gonna be-
Grace,
Very
can
I know, but
existential,
the-
you know.
Grace, can I ask,
This, I'm just go
can I
that
ask
way
your
too.
opinion of
The
which
other
one
thing
you
is-
like more? I'd love to hear, I'd
I
be
mean,
very interested in it.
I did also really like concept A, the second version, the abbreviated one, just because I
We've
think.
got a decision, yeah.
That
but I
seems,
think
that seems pretty
No,
consensus.
that does.
I do like the window, yeah, I do like that window.
Shows a little
Yeah.
more.
I do like the window a lot, yeah. Every house needs a window.
Depends what you're looking at.
Right.
You never know which topic is gonna get the most conversation. I don't know.
I'm surprised. I will say, I think any of them will do.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
think that, there's any I would steer this board away from.
I mean, it seems like
Yeah,
concept A, the bottom one,
Yeah.
seems to, listening
Okay,
to
but-
everybody, it seems like that's as much of a consensus as I think we're gonna get. Yeah,
Nice work with your
I
first
mean-
project.
it's fine, they're all great.
And we,
It is, it's fine.
I mean, we can talk to communications and see if there's any minor tweaks they can do to this to potentially, maybe merge some of the concepts from the second
Okay,
into the first. I mean,
Demonstration's important.
it is. But we can explore that before, I mean, we luckily have time before we really need to roll anything out, but, if that's what people want to do, we will, roll with concept A with the color variation and then see if there's any minor tweaks that they can make to maybe somehow, mimic either the window or something from there. Because I do have slight concerns that the house structure on the second is better than the first in terms of
what
seeing
it
it.
is, right?
And I worry that the first
Yeah.
almost looks like stock market rise or something.
Yeah.
And that M is imbalanced, like
Yeah,
for the chimney.
Oh, right, yeah, it's supposed to be a chimney.
but
Oh,
I,
that's what, boy,
Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
I,
he's not clear on that
so let's,
one.
we, like,
It's a little
we,
puff of smoke.
Maybe this needs to be just narrower a little bit.
we will ask for some tweaks to concept A color variation based on some of these comments and see what we can do. If that works for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, sorry, Kevin.
No, I think our last big topic, at least on here, was at the discussion about cross modular homes.
Yep.
You had sent the materials out, but I don't know if you wanna kind of dive into that at all, or if you have questions for.
I really just want to provide the opportunity for people to ask additional questions. A little context, New York State created a pilot program with 3 land banks across the state to purchase and install modular homes. Syracuse, Newburgh, and somewhere else, and I can't remember where it is. But I went to the Syracuse location after Labor Day. It was, freshly completed, but still not done. The landscaping wasn't done or anything like that. Grace and I put together the kind of summary report of how that project came together, what it looks like, how it works, some of the high-level costs, which in theory could hold true for future projects based on what Syracuse did, and the manufacturer is a New York State manufacturer. And so I want to provide opportunities on, my thoughts and feelings about that structure, because it's one of the most cost-effective ways that we could potentially put a new structure on any of these lots, much cheaper than a stick build. And it also is significantly shorter time frame because the structures are built in a factory, then shipped to site and then assembled there. There's actually, so the other thing that came out was this, and it had some additional highlights that from the time they ordered the structure to when it was delivered was 6 months. Which, yes, there was another week or two of construction that needed to occur to join the two units and, finalize some of the details. But that is a house in under 6 months almost, which is something that.
And they do it in 5.
I mean, the new builds at this point aren't taking that long. The new constructions, it's no longer a 3 or 4 month window, so they're.
When do you pay for it?
We
order
put a deposit up front for sure. And I don't know, we'd probably pay for it upon delivery, but you order and it's much like ordering offline anything. You select everything you want, the trim you want, the appliances you want, and they assemble it on site. It comes with the appliances in it. It comes with literally everything done besides a little drywall work where you join the two units, and then potentially flooring work where the units get assembled as well. And then, of course, there's exterior work. The foundation needs to be, so it's just a concrete slab on the ground with mechanicals coming up to tie in. The foundation that you see from the exterior of the house is really a false foundation. It's true cinder blocks, but it's not actually supporting the structure. There's other supporting members that hold it. And that is really the final piece to get in, and then any sort of deck work. This structure also came with a garage that was stick built on site, but happened in parallel to them doing the work. So that's something that we could explore as well on any of these sites. And for all in, the structure and site work was under $250,000.
What's the lead time to ordering it before they can begin construction?
I thought I had that in the materials, but I do recall first of all, the manufacturer, of course, is very interested in people ordering these from them. And so they have my understanding is they run a crew almost 24/7, and that they can get them to you in 3 to 4 months, depending on schedule.
And Pat, can you talk a little bit about the state program and how this might, being proactive in this, by going down this route, how that might set us up for increased resources from New York State to do more projects and more of these parcels?
Yeah, so to be clear, the funding for what I'm talking about is with our ARPA dollars, which are relatively unrestricted other than what we need to do to satisfy our ARPA grant goals, which is to construct houses. We would satisfy those needs. The state recently, as of this week, put out a program called Move in New York, which is meant to facilitate additional modular structures throughout the state that land banks and municipalities would be eligible for. There is a minimum threshold of 10 sites that you want to put these on. That would be state money that they would then grant you to start this process. I think, to Anna's point, that if we can demonstrate our capabilities of doing this with the ARPA dollars, we would make a very strong case in a grant application to then subsequently potentially get more money if we can identify 10 additional sites throughout Monroe County. The grant application is open now, but it rolls through a portion of 2026. So we would have to explore that in parallel with what we're doing here. It may not be possible. We may not be able to find 10 sites. We may not be able to do the timing, but I think that it's worth exploring and understanding that we might be essentially doing our own pilot project to demonstrate to New York State that we are capable of doing this.
I think that sounds really exciting. What type of vetting and due diligence do we need to do on this? I don't, how many properties are in what you sent us, Amy? Vacant pieces of land. I'm curious, what do we need to figure out to determine what among this list is right for us to take title to? And then do we roughly know how much how many modular units we could hypothetically afford. So that, you know, we can come up with a game plan.
It seems like based on the numbers, we could probably do three,
I was
Like-
thinking the same thing. We could
Pretty
do three.
comfortably.
three with room for all the expenses and the unforeseen costs and the
Yep.
demo if there
Yep.
needs to be, you know.
Okay,
But yeah, I think that is very realistic.
And I would like to also offer that two of the three could be in the same municipality. So that we could have that conversation once, and then we'll find another prime location that would show well, so that the municipalities would gain interest in what we're doing. And then thereafter, now, okay, yes, we could come up with text easily.
So I just, because I don't know anything about modular homes, but is that like, is that not as attractive to the municipality? Like, is there some issue with,
It can be,
okay.
or it can have that connotation.
Oh.
So
Used to be.
cross modular is the new vernacular for these manufactured structures that come with nicer finishes than they previously used to. And they're also, you might be familiar with kind of a single wide that is just one unit. These are usually at least 2 units, and you can get them with more than that, depending on your site, that then get adjoined, so it creates a larger actual living space. This house in the picture and what I send you is 1,400 square feet, so not a tiny house, but something that is livable. This one has 3 bedrooms. So there are potentially challenges in some communities. However, if we meet all other zoning requirements, by law, they cannot deny us the ability to install a modular house just because it's modular. So that is something that we can work with through the process, but that means we still have to work with all the other permits and regulations that a construction company needs to worry about.
I think the way many local community, the codes are written in thinking about trailers and the modular of the past. And I think about with this concept, Sears used to do this in the
Yeah.
early
Yeah.
20th
Yeah.
century. You could order,
Yeah.
you know, and it was a fully built, beautiful home, tongue and groove, you know, anyway.
And these are slightly different than like a traditional manufactured or mobile home where they potentially are mobile in the future. These are affixed to the real property and they are considered real property and everything is sold at that point together. It's not a separate unit that can ever move again.
That's the delineation with the towns, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Towns don't wanna see the mobile
Yep.
trailers. nonsense.
I know I had in my mind more of the old school style. From what I've seen of videos and pictures online,
Yeah.
I was incredibly impressed. I'm just curious, when you saw it in person, did you come away thinking like, well, that looks like a real house, like, that doesn't strike me as a manufactured home in any way, that,
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, you would have absolutely no idea.
yes.
Without question. And even from the inside, you would have no idea. The only real, element that makes you think that maybe there's something different here, at least on this unit, and it's not necessarily what we have to do because it's an option that you can choose, is that, because the, for open room from kitchen to living room is kind of open concept, there is a transition strip down the large, 8-foot hallway that is going between the same flooring style on either side. So you could do 2 things differently there. One, choose a different flooring on one side so you have a more natural transition strip. Or 2, the other options are they can do different flooring options for you, including hardwoods. This one had a traditional linoleum or vinyl flooring. But what they do if you want hardwoods or something like that is they put it up to the point of the one side, and then when it's pulled together on site, they finish the installation of the floor. And that's also something that a future homeowner could undertake themselves if they wanted to. So to save money, that's why Syracuse went with the linoleum. And that is really the only reason that you can tell that there's something slightly odd. Other than that, it is 2x4s in the walls, it's drywall, it's everything else that you would expect from a house. And then I think you saw in the pictures, there's a little crawl space to get into the basement area, and you can see the I-beams that run underneath it. That's the only other kind of
So there is actually a basement area, they're able to do it with.
crawl space.
No, but still, I mean, there is
You-
something.
You can do a basement with these, but then it requires you to install them with a crane, which raises the price.
Right.
So ideally, we're looking, if we are exploring these options, we want relatively flat level sites that they're 50 feet long that need to be backed into site. So you need to be able to have the turn radius to do all those things. And the developer, or at least the entity that sold these to the Syracuse and others, they will work with you on making sure that that is possible for the location. They look at the roads that they would have to take to get there. They, like delivering any large equipment, they know what they're doing, in terms of, is it feasible or not? And they provide, at least with the current manufacturer, they provide a full set of site plans that you can submit to your municipality. So we would not need to find their stamped drawings. You don't need to go to an outside engineer or architect to get these complete into the community. So it's kind of a full service model that they're trying to provide.
Having said that, I have had someone from one of the towns offer to come to our meeting
Mhm.
to offer assurances to the team that they would allow this type of thing. And because we have two properties in the same town, it seems prudent to perhaps explore the opportunity to invite them to our next meeting.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
absolutely.
Okay.
And we could also have them zoom in because they don't,
That's
we have
right.
forum here, so,
Or- That's easier
whatever
for them.
works.
Okay. I'll reach out to them.
Yeah.
It'd be
And-
great to hear their perspective too.
I will say, if there is, I know there's at least two of these that I saw in relatively close proximity, that could save us costs, because essentially there's a crew that must come on site to assemble these. If they can go from one site to the other relatively quickly, you can get everything done much more quickly and costly.
Just what else?
Yep.
Can you remind me the timing of today's meeting on the heels of the auction? Was there a desire, a drive to like actually have this board make a decision about some of these properties
There
today?
that was one of the reasons we moved it past the auction date.
Right.
In
the interest, I'm just thinking, in
Yeah.
the interest of time, looking at lead times, ordering and understanding that we have budget, we have the ARPA funds. And they need to be expended by end of
Yep.
next year. Is it prudent for us to make a determination about any of these?
I would
Properties.
also offer that we've considered one of these or both of these for a period of time, and we simply needed to make sure that they made it through the next auction,
Mhm.
and it did. So I think whether we've decided or not, in essence, we've been researching the same two for months. We probably already know that we're interested, as long as that municipality is comfortable with it.
English Road, the county owns.
English, yep. And then
Swansea is the other.
Swansea is the other.
County does not own that though, right?
Swansea does not, and we couldn't get it into ownership, but it just made it
No.
through.
Yeah.
We could get that into ownership.
Is that the one that's gonna be a tear down?
Yes,
And is that the one with the tree?
Yes.
It's not a
It's
good
gonna
fit for
require tree
manufacturing.
work.
Is that going to make sense for size wise, for what you're talking about with the modular housing?
well, and we could talk to him about that.
Yeah.
I think that we would have to explore that. It's gonna be very tight. I looked at the dimensions.
40 foot.
Yeah, and so, in the materials I sent you, ideally, they want a 50-foot wide space by 100 feet, if not 150 feet. It just makes it easier for them. They generally know they can meet general setbacks with all of that stuff. Doesn't mean it's impossible, especially with the way that neighborhood is built, it's tight. But we could start to have a conversation with them to see if, A, it's gonna fit based on the parameters. I know you already explored that.
It would be tough. It would be tough. I think we all know that.
And I think we could also engage with one of these companies to see if they can even make that kind of delivery. It may not be possible on that site.
But we have others that have two that are in close proximity to the others. They're just not near this one. So we could do those, the other one in Greece, and then do this tear down and sell to an adjoiner.
So that's what I was gonna say. Our ultimate goal is to produce housing. However, we know that there are places that probably demo is the only thing that's gonna happen, and that could improve the surrounding community. This could be exactly that, and I wonder if we should move forward with that property with knowing that that's the
Mhm.
likely.
Likely scenario, but maybe we get lucky and we can actually put a house on it. And to Anna's point, maybe we move forward quickly with those two to see if we consider and potentially authorize the board to move forward with those properties. Doesn't mean we have to take title, but we can start the process in the county's end, do all of our due diligence, and are authorized to do so as quickly as possible.
I'm leaning in that direction, just given all of the deliberation that we've had thus far and knowing we timed this meeting intentionally. And also with the likelihood that a staff member will be coming on to assist in the administrative work and some of the due diligence around engaging with stakeholders and supporting this effort. I think the time is right. But again, I'm just state, that's where I would sit in, I'm leaning towards, putting a motion out there to act. But I defer to all of my fellow board members.
So are you suggesting that we identify and then work on RFPs or actually move towards acquiring them?
Moving towards acquiring at least 2 or 3 of the ones that we've already identified and discussed.
Beechwood's not available right now.
Okay,
We can do Swansea. And the county already owns English. I'm looking at what you had provided to me, this other property on Chili Avenue. I hadn't had time yet, but I believe historically I've received a number of emails on this property. What's the status? What are you doing? How can you help us? And maybe this is the answer. We
Yeah.
can help you by, if you are willing to allow this is one thing we can do to help you.
Emails from the municipality.
Yes, I'm almost positive, but I need to go back through my archives of my email to double check that. So I could reach out to that town as well.
is that town of Chili or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
Are you
2852.
suggesting that we add that to our, anything
Well-
we do today? Or are you just suggesting that we aggressively pursue it in the future?
aggressively pursue it, look it up in the next 30 days, reach out to the town of Chili and see if that's something we want to start moving on. Because what we could do is transfer all of them all at once by the end of the year,
Great.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, just one referral to get
One-
all
yeah, one referral, we could introduce it in December.
of them.
Is that 2852?
Yes,
It has 108 foot of frontage, so.
Yeah, it could, yeah.
Could
it
be
could
better.
work.
What's the cross street on that? I can't tell.
I
can't
can
read
actually,
it.
we spotted some of these, so we can actually pull it up for you.
52.
Chili Avenue. It's in the town, it's in Gates School District and Town of Chili.
That is also located near another property that, they're 5 minutes away. That really could be economies of scale.
It's like Chestnut Drive,
At the corner of Chestnut?
for 2852.
yeah,
I mean, that's a great location.
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
and it would be visible and
This
it's
is a
been
street view
a
here.
concern. I'm almost positive.
It's
Here it
vacant
is. This one
land.
that is,
Oh, it is, so that must be the parcel right there, yeah.
That's a very nice.
A big park.
It
It's a
is.
nice park,
Yeah.
too.
Can you
Right,
zoom in
look
on
at
it?
it.
Is there a house there? No,
not according to what I
Yeah, the
see, I mean,
ones to
there
the-
is tree
The
coverage.
east are all
No, I
there.
believe
It's right by
it's
the
vacant.
fire department.
Well,
Yeah.
It's next to
I know
the
exactly
Charlotte
where it
Fire
is.
Department. Yeah, I live not far from here.
So this is the location that we're speaking of. There used to be a property or structure on the site. We don't believe there is anymore, based on what current imagery.
It's the same.
do you have the email I sent to you? Did it have the amount on there that it was due to taxes?
What is,
No,
2852
Oh.
Chili
I
Avenue.
don't have anything else.
I uploaded the Excel. I
because there's
put
a
everything
business
in the Excel.
fee
Did
beside
you open
that.
that Excel?
Yeah, I got it open.
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
the Chili Fire Department right
Oh, that's-
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
So-
90,000.
So it looks like it's right there. in
They
the-
demoed the house. It's
That's
already
that
gone.
business.
I see that house is not there anymore, right there.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
demoed the house. That's why it's at 90,000.
That's,
The house
that's
is
a
gone.
really good.
It's a great
location.
site.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, interesting. It
Yeah.
just goes to show Google Street View is not always up to date.
Yeah, it still has the
and
house,
it's
Yeah.
got.
the house
it's got
structure on
already
Google.
They've been,
dimensions.
Why was there a fire, structure fire? or
which,
something?
oh,
I don't know.
it's been vacant for an extended period of time and they've been reaching out about this.
Hmm.
Recently. Historically.
It's a very good location.
Yeah.
I don't.
And that's certainly not the
setback.
only reason to move forward, but the fact that, you know, that's part of our mission, right? The town say, hey,
Well,
what
and
about
no
this
one's gonna
property?
read that at an in-rem tax foreclosure at $90,000. This is just gonna
No.
sit out there forever.
Right.
And what about their setback requirements? They're willing to,
We have to explore that. I don't know that.
that's
we-
something we would want to make sure.
But it seems like a large enough lot that it could work.
Or give this proving great visibility. Where it's located.
Yeah.
So that's certainly one we wanna do some more due diligence on, right? I mean, I don't think.
At a minimum, yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
What's the other one that you said is near there?
768 Marshall.
Oh, yeah, that's near there.
that is a little more confusing in terms of structure or not. But so these two blue dots represent both of those. This 768 Marshall is right here.
Literally right around the corner.
Yep, really great economy of scale if we have, no, because of there's a lot of tree cover, so we know that would have to happen. Sorry, everyone. That's the best you can get.
And how close are these to 139 Renoff?
That's off of, probably up towards Gates more, east,
North, there it is.
near Walmart.
Yep, there it is.
It's not horrible.
That one looks empty.
I mean, that's a nice street, very desirable for people to live. It's convenient.
And we have all these plotted, so if people are interested, we can keep exploring the other options that I mentioned. But yeah, this one looks like it has been demoed as well. Or no,
Yeah.
It's either-
How much is owing on it?
Yeah.
105,000.
It's probably demo.
It's a good tip to know. Okay. That's good because that was very similar to the Swansea property where the structure was set all the way in the back and not really ideal for renovation.
Well, between these three and Swansea demo, there goes $1 million.
Marshall looks interesting too. It's got 61 foot of frontage.
I will also say, I mean, there is many land banks hold on to property for longer than they may want. It's not necessarily the wisest strategy because you have to spend property or spend insurance money. But if it's a vacant parcel and your carrying costs are insurance and mowing,
Liability.
it's not a ton if you know that you do have a plan and you just need to acquire the funds for it. So it's something that we could essentially create a queue for ourselves of properties that we're looking to move forward with.
All right, so can we narrow it down to these four that we start really looking into more in depth? Are we comfortable with that idea?
So
I am.
just to be clear, we're talking about English Road, Swansea, Marshall, and Chi-Li?
Mhm.
Is that or no? I just want to be on the same page.
I was thinking English Road could wait,
Okay,
Yeah, because it's already county owned.
true.
and then we focus on
Renault.
2852 Chi-Li, 768 Marshall, and 139 Renault.
Okay,
Well, and we'll go ahead and assume we do Swansea and demo the house.
I think we may want to stay away from some of these parcels that are with a lot of acreage unless we're gonna do something else.
Yeah.
Divide it or something, because it presents other obstacles.
yeah, the list that Amy sent out has way more properties than is the short list. And I
Okay,
think the short list is almost all single residential properties. Grace and I did identify a few larger acreage parcels, but we didn't keep them in the short list.
cold water is very wet there. I mean, it's
Yes,
just in general.
yes,
So,
very wet.
Water's in the name, so.
Sorry,
It's
put
cool.
your real estate hat on.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
good
so this is
intel.
shortlisted.
Okay, so with that, then what we will do from our end, Amy and I will work on identifying any of the zoning parameters we need to worry about. We will identify other issues just to kind of get a ballpark of what the initial cost may be. And I think we should also contact the municipalities and have
Yep.
some initial conversations about what potentially could happen on those sites. Because if we don't have cooperative municipalities and building departments, it's not worth our time and effort.
Yeah.
That sound good?
Yes.
So we will try to do all of that before the next meeting.
It's a lot.
No, we will try to do that in the next week because all of a sudden everything gets crazy. So we will actually try to do that very quickly.
So is there, need to take action at this time to empower?
So if we want to actually acquire them, we need to have a vote of the board. If we are just moving forward with exploring them, coming back to you with more information, we don't necessarily need to do anything in terms of motion. So
Maybe
that's
we-
up to the board.
Maybe move it forward next month.
Do the diligence this month
Yeah.
and then
October 15th. We shall
Yep.
rise to.
Make
great
some
purpose.
decisions.
That's right,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, and then if we get November, we get a referral in January, we vote, we transfer them, we'll have them the beginning of the year, we'll have essentially 11 and a half months to spend the money.
And if we are committed to them at that point, we can start the process on our end we already have a demo RFP that is sitting, waiting to go out on the street. We can identify any sites if we need them. We can start working on the permitting possibilities with the municipalities, looking at what houses, how we would construct a house. So we can do a lot of the engineering and design work over the winter months, so that way we're ready to go.
And theoretically, you can start ordering
Yep.
the modular homes to cut into that wait time
Yep.
too. Yep.
Okay. I think we,
If we reverse engineer it, October, we'd want to be done by the end of October. 6 months, you said? By April,
Yeah.
we
But that's,
want to start ordering. I think it's doable.
but I mean, we need site prep before that, so I mean, yes, we want to order, but we want to make sure that we have the sites ready to accept the structures, which we can talk to them, and the other thing is we can do an RFP for these structures, and things like that, because we are not beholden to New York State's program, because we're using our own
We
dollars.
should. right?
Yeah.
Need to do our due
Especially if
diligence.
we're ordering multiple units.
if in the future we tap into this new program with New York State, at that point, are there restrictions on who you use and?
They are, soliciting RFPs for companies to,
approved vendors?
yeah, exactly. And in theory, they're doing it because they are hoping to have enough scale that a vendor can bring down the cost for land banks or municipalities across New York State.
Okay, any other topics that people want to raise before we adjourn for the day? Okay, our next meeting is October 15th, 3:30. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So we're-
Deb, I'm gonna guess that Amy is gonna second that. How quickly that hand went up. All in favor? All right. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great rest.
Your job, were you trained on this, that you got to instantly, vote to adjourn the meeting,
Oh,
make motions as Bob's,
oh, that was,
as Bob's successor?
was that his usual role?
Like, you wouldn't even get out of his mind, like, you know, like. you got a motion to move.
Just packed
Yeah.
up before you even
Yeah.
started. having-
right,
Yeah.
right.
We said, Bob, we haven't started the meeting.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. We will update you with anything we can via email. And of course, we can't do anything formal over email, but we can wait till the next meeting to do that. We have a lot of work to do, Grace. And Lisa.
Get there.
Shay, I know, 3 of you with David Mullins. You're the 3 that.
That sounds like the kind of thing gonna be your.
Right, right.
That was funny, I got an email,
Not your
an
circus,
email,
not
about
your
a subpoena, I'm like, the